Welcome back, and we're having a very interesting conversation with Sonia Choquette. Before the break, we're talking about how to bring our spirit back into our body.
Right.
We spoke about breathing, singing, moving.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are three things that are really pretty effective. In fact, Albert Einstein was asked once how he discovered the theory of relativity. And he said, I wasn't looking for it. I was listening to music and singing, and the whole thing dropped into my head.
Okay, downloaded.
So when you're in your spirit, your heart opens. And then you become receptive to being inspired. You become receptive to guidance. Many people say, I don't hear my guidance, I don't know left from right, I don't know, how do I know? But my first question to them is, well, how guidable are you? Because your intuition is subtle, and it's not going to fight or compete with your controlling intellect. So now we have to figure out what to do with our controlling intellect. You don't want to get rid of it. It's your faithful servant. But it has to serve the spirit. So I think a really effective way is to consider your personality, your ego, like your pet, your beloved pet.
Now that's an interesting
Well,
way
you
to
can
look
love
at it,
your
isn't
pet,
it?
but you have to train your pet.
Yeah.
You have to train your pet to sit down and be quiet and listen, behave.
Depends on your pet.
Right, because if your pet's out of control, poops all over your house, you're not gonna enjoy your pet.
And people often say the pet runs the household.
Right. So if your pet's running the household, you can be sure that your spirit is also being chased away. So I say one of the ways to train your pet is to meditate. And you know, that word is still extremely intimidating to people. People don't like that word, actually, because that means an assignment that's bigger than I can succeed.
So how would you...
So I say, first of all, let's frame meditation correctly.
Okay.
It's like having a drink at the well. It's just a temporary pause in your mental chaos to relax and step out of the theater of life and regroup. And one of the best ways to meditate, and a quick way to meditate, here's a very quick, effective way to meditate. Well, first let's back up a minute. Meditation, the goal of meditation is to bring you to your spirit and bring you to present time.
Yes.
Your emotional self lives in the past. Your mental self lives in the future.
Okay.
And you can't create or be intuitive in the past or the future. You can only be creative and you can only be intuitively guided in the moment.
In the present moment, yep.
So a very quick, easy, simple way to meditate yourself back to the moment is a form of mindful meditation where you just take a look around, and as you breathe, you start naming what you see.
Okay.
You name it. You can't just think it, though. You can say, I see a beautiful brown sofa. I see a beige pillow. I see your lovely aubergine pants. I see your necklace. I see my gray dress. And you just do that for 3 minutes. And when you're finished, you'll be completely present. Your mind will be quiet, your pet will be sleeping, and your spirit will be present. And you can then put your hand over your heart and say, now my intuition says, and it will speak.
And it's there.
It's so simple.
When you word it that way, it is so simple.
And it's a technique that will not fail anybody. So my whole purpose in life is to give you techniques and tools that will work. Your intuitive spirit should be leading your life. It is really not natural that it isn't. You know, you think about birds have radar, and whales have sonar. They can cross oceans, and monarch butterflies can fly from one continent to the next and back and end up exactly where they left. Why not us? Why would we be any less capable of having an inner guidance system that is perfect for our greatest flowering, our greatest potential fulfillment, our greatest creative expression. And for us to treat it as something weird or unnatural is perhaps one of our most devastating decisions.
Mm-hmm. And the most that separates.
Well, I say to
from
people,
the divine and each other.
honestly, if you lost every one of your senses, but your intuition worked, you'd be okay. But if you had every sense and your intuition was dormant, I wouldn't be so sure. And one of my favorite examples of that is Helen Keller.
Why?
Because she had lost all her senses. She couldn't see, she couldn't speak, she couldn't hear. She barely had the capacity to sense and feel, and yet by following and expressing her spirit, she became one of the most inspirational people of all time and touched the world.
I didn't realize she'd lost most of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Most everything.
Wow.
So I think it's time for us to begin to wake up. We've been dumbed down. To begin to re-educate ourselves about our intuition and to move out of the dark ages and the witch burnings and all the other crazy ideologies that people have been subjected to, and begin to re-embrace our natural wisdom as a divine right. And frankly, I think we should use it as our first sense, not our sixth sense.
I agree. Where do you think we are then as a species on this planet?
Well, here's what I think. Basically, the ratio right now is about 22% sixth sensory, 78% five sense.